Are you using Windows and want to self-host n8n to have full control over your data and workflows? In this video, I'll guide you step by step to install n8n self-hosted on Windows in a simple and easy way. To help you understand how n8 runs on Windows, let's quickly walk through this diagram. First, we have Windows, your main operating system. Next, we use WSL to create a Linux environment inside Windows. Then, inside that Linux environment, we install and run Docker, which helps us manage applications in a simple and consistent way. Finally, n8 runs inside Docker. So if you haven't installed WSL or Docker yet, I recommend checking the previous videos in the description and following them step by step. First, open the Linux distro you installed. In this example, I'll be using Ubuntu. Before we begin, let's check the status of Docker to make sure it's running properly. If the result shows active, it means Docker is running properly, and you can proceed to the next steps. Before we move on, I'll quickly explain the folder structure and the components we'll be using. Here, I've prepared a folder called Docker. This will be the central place to store all the containers we use. n8n will also be deployed inside this Docker folder. To make n8n work, we need a few key components. First, the env file, which stores environment variables such as credentials and configuration settings. Next, the Docker compose YAML file used to define and run the entire system, including n8n and the database. Finally, the Postgres data folder, where the database data is stored, ensuring it won't be lost when containers restart. Understanding this structure will make the next steps much easier to follow. Now, we'll start creating the folder structure and the necessary files for n8n as mentioned earlier. Note that the env and Docker compose YML files must keep their exact names so the system can recognize and run them correctly. This is a required convention. After creating everything, your folder structure should look like this. Next, we'll generate a string using OpenSSL to use in the env file. Go ahead and copy this string. We'll use it in the env file and explain its purpose later. Now, open the env file. Then, add the content that I've already prepared here. Quick explanation. This section is used to configure the PostgreSQL database for n8n. You can change these values if you want. By default, if not configured, n8n will use SQLite. However, for better performance and reliability, I recommend using PostgreSQL. Next, this section is used to configure how n8 is exposed and accessed from outside. You can adjust these values if needed, but in most cases, the default settings will work just fine. Next, this section is used to configure the system time zone. You should set it according to your region to make sure timestamps in workflows and logs are accurate. Next, this section configures the access URL for n8n and its webhooks. Replace IPWL with the IP address of your WSL instance. Finally, paste the 32-character string you generated earlier. This key is used to encrypt sensitive data in n8, so make sure to keep it safe and do not share it with others. Now, go ahead and copy and paste this content into the env file. After that, save the file and exit the configuration. Next, open the Docker compose YML file. Then, copy and paste the content that I've prepared into this file as well. Here, we are defining the PostgreSQL service. This will be the database used by n8n. The database name, user, and password are loaded from the env file we configured earlier. Additionally, the data is stored in the Postgres data folder, ensuring it persists even when the container restarts. Next is the configuration for n8n. Here, we define the necessary settings for n8n to run, connect to the database, and be accessible from outside. The values are loaded from the env file we configured earlier. After that, save the file and exit the configuration. Everything is ready, now let's run it and start n8. On the first run, the system may take some time to download the images and initialize the containers, so please be patient for a moment. When you see this message, it means n8n has started successfully. You can also verify this by running the docker ps command to make sure the containers are running. You'll see the running containers. However, the command line isn't very visual, so you can use Portainer to check them more easily. With Portainer, you can easily monitor the status of your containers through a visual interface. Now, you can access the n8 web interface by opening your browser and entering your configured address. On the first screen, the system will ask you to create an account. Enter the required information and click Next to continue. Next, answer a few questions required by the system depending on your usage needs. Next, click Send me a free license key to receive a free key from the system. The system will send you an email, so check your inbox. Click Activate License Key to activate it and complete the setup process. After activation, if you see the message, "You're on the Community Edition registered," it means everything is successfully activated. And that's it. We've successfully installed n8n. In the next video, we'll explore how to use n8n to build automated workflows. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe to support the channel. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.